Apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnyMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins at a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future homebuyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of homeownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS number 39345, corporate NMLS number 338923. AnyMac Home Mortgage is an equal housing lender. American Neighborhood Mortgage Acceptance Company, LLC. DBA AnyMac Home Mortgage. Lo-Fi Direct. Connecticut First Mortgage Correspondent. License lender. Broker number ML 338923. Massachusetts Mortgage Lender and Mortgage Broker License number MC 338923. Rhode Island License Lender. License number 2011280L. Call for additional details.
Welcome to Sports Talk with R&J. I am Steve Risser, along here with Justin D'Onofrio, and this is the college football's first week begins in earnest this week, and we got a huge matchup to start. I know last week was the first week, but everybody's kind of playing this week. Week is kind of really. They don't call it really week zero anymore, but I think they don't want it some crazy. They don't want to call it week zero anymore, I've heard, but still, this is kind of the first full week of college football. The first week of the college football season starts actually tomorrow night. But the biggest game is on Saturday afternoon at noon in Columbus, where we got a rematch of the semifinal between Ohio State and Texas, and we got it. We got the rematch. Number 1 Ohio State goes to the defending national champ. Number 3 Texas, and I'll start with you, Justin, on this. Seeing both teams' schedules going into this year, which one of these two teams needs this game
more? I would probably say Texas, because I think their schedule is a little bit harder, just because they do have Georgia on the docket. I know they've done pretty well in their history against A&M, but you got them in the docket too. And then at Florida could be tricky. That Oklahoma game, you never know. So I'd say more Texas and Ohio State, because as we know, Ohio State does have Penn State on there, and then they have the Michigan game, which they should be Michigan, but we know how that's gone in the past. So I'd say Texas a little bit more than Ohio State.
I'm gonna go Ohio State. I'm gonna go Ohio State, and here's why. Number 1, they're at home, but number 2, Texas. I know they play Florida. I know they go to Georgia, but for an SEC schedule, they don't have LSU and they don't have Alabama. So for an SEC schedule, it's a pretty easy. I know it's not an easy schedule for an SEC schedule. I think it's an easy schedule. And Ohio State, I think their schedules are about the same, but I think Texas has more talent. And here's the thing about Ohio State. Here's the thing about Ohio State. They go to Illinois. That's a sleep. They're number 12 in the country. That's going to be a tough game. They go to Illinois. They play Penn State, who's got as high of expectation as they've ever had, and they go to Michigan, and they've really struggled against Michigan. So I'm going to go Ohio State here. I think Ohio State needs this win more, because there's a chance they lose this game. They could end up with 3 losses and miss the playoff.
Yeah, I could see it too for them. I think Texas same thing. And look, Ohio State fan just came off a national championship, but that doesn't mean they're going to put Ryan Day in hot seat if he loses Saturday. Like you. Come on! I know his record against Michigan is good, but come on! I know they're nuts, but come on. They don't look good. If State doesn't look good, I could see Ohio State fans wanting Ryan Day again out of town.
Come on!
Especially losing Michigan again. So I could see it being a game where Ohio State definitely needs it, but it's a big one for both of them, because they both want to get on the right foot, and 2 new quarterbacks that I know Archer's had a little experience, but he's still fairly new as a starting quarterback. So it's be a big time for both teams. What quarterback get off the right foot?
Yeah, you talk about absolutely. You definitely talk about the quarterbacks, and that's going to lead me to our point about what does each team have to do to win the game. That's going to lead me to my point on what each team has to do to win the game. And I'm going to start with Texas. I'll start with Arch. I'll start with Texas. What Texas has got to do to win the game. And first, it's obvious. Arch needs to play well. It's going to be very interesting to see. This is his first start. This is his first start, right? Or did he start a game last year?
Did the Ewers? He may have started a game.
Yeah, but
no, wait, he didn't start one 2 years because the Ewers missed some time. But I don't think Arch ever started. I forget what the backup's name was. I think got over Arch. So yeah, this is his first one.
So first start at the Horseshoe against the defending national champs. So a crazy atmosphere for his first start. So he's got to be good. He's got to be good for them. That's my number one key. Is he's got to be good for them. Number two for me, and this is what didn't happen for them last year. Is they got to get Wisner going because he's the guy Wisner is the player that is returning. The big time players outside of Jeremiah Smith probably or Caleb Downs. This is the key player that's returning for, and some of the Texas guys on defense. No, I'd say offensively outside of Jeremiah Smith. This is the guy. This is the key returner for both these teams. He's got to get going, and he got shut down last year by that Ohio State defense. So they got to get a good running game out of Wisner because that's going to help Arch Manning in this environment. And then number three, and this one's pretty obvious. This is a pretty obvious number three. They've got to contain Jeremiah Smith because you know where that ball's going. You know where Sayan's going to be looking for. He's going to be looking for Jeremiah Smith, and they were the one team in the college football playoff that shut him down last year. But a big reason for that was they had Jahdae Barron. Now they don't have Jahdae Barron. Now they got a good secondary, but they don't have Jahdae Barron in that secondary anymore. So he was completely shut down last year, Jeremiah Smith, in that semifinal game. 1 catch, 3 yards. So he was shut down. But yeah, so 3 things for me: Arch playing well, Wisner playing well, and them containing Jeremiah Smith. Justin, what does Texas got to do to win this game?
Yeah, for me, I do want to make one correction. Arch did start that game last year at Mississippi State. I forgot. They threw him out, and I totally forgot about the Mississippi State game. So, but yeah, so it'll be second start, but definitely different atmosphere than going to Starkville, even though it's a nice but totally different than the big house. I mean, the Horseshoe. But yeah, for me, for Texas, this one, yeah, number one for me too is containing Jeremiah Smith. They did, you mentioned Perry did an unbelievable job in that playoff game last year. He only had 1 catch for 3 yards. But the other guys like Cardell Tate stepped up. I think he was our leading receiver that night. Number 2 for me is, playing kind of conservative, getting that run game going. You mentioned Wisner. CJ Baxter should be back as well at running back, and I think he's really talented too, and he'll, the both of them probably split carries. That's number 2 for me, just to get Arch going, not to make, because I think in this game both coaches aren't going to want to make that big turnover, that big mistake with a young quarterback under center here. And number 3 for me is that number 3 for me is getting off to a good start in this one. For Arch in the Longhorns, because you don't want to get that crowd into it, especially you turn the ball over, Ohio State goes right down the score. You're now 7-0 already. You want to get out to a good start, even on the defensive side, just getting that 3 and out, getting you going, get the ball in your offense's hands. So I think for Texas as well, just getting off to a good start up there in Columbus would be huge as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting off to a good start would be good because that would get that crowd out of the game. Now moving on to the defending national champs. What they got to do to win the game. And number 1 for me, Sayan's got to play well. Julian Sayan has got to play well in his first start. There'll be a lot of pressure facing. I think this is the best defense in the country. You think it's the best defense in the country? Texas coming into the season?
Then Penn State, I'm like 1 and 2. So
okay. So yes, probably the best defense in the country, especially with like the edge with Simmons and Hill on that defense. I think they got one of the best defenses in the country and some experience in the secondary. I think they got some good defense. They're one of the best defenses in the country. So, but it is imperative for Sayan to play well. Number 2. Contain Wisner, just like they did last year. They shut him down last year, but if they contain the running game like they did last year and force Arch to be one-dimensional, that's big. And then number 3, that would get pressure on Arch Manning, force Arch Manning to make mistakes in his first start. So for me, Ohio State, it's Sayan to play well, to contain the running game and get pressure on Arch Manning. Justin, what are your keys for an Ohio State win on Saturday afternoon?
Yeah, for me, other guys got to get going outside of Jeremiah Smith. The Cardell Tates had a pretty good year. Well, at tight end, I'm really high on Matt Clare. I think he should be one of the better ones in the sport this year. Saying getting the ball out, it's going to obviously help to have Jeremiah Smith, but I think Texas is going to try to take that away again from him. So, can he get to the balls to those other receivers that can make plays for him? Number two for me is defensively. We've never seen Matt Patricia coach a game of college. And when's the last time Matt Patricia's done a good job as a coach? It's 2017.
2016 in that Super Bowl, I think. Honestly.
Yeah, that's
the last time.
That's been 9 years. Yeah. And you saw last year with Michigan, it took Wink Martindale a little bit, about half the year to kind of get used to the college game and kind of what he needed to scheme up. So defensively, how does Ohio State kind of play this? I'm with you. I think you got to try to blitz Arch Manning, get in his face, get him a little bit rattled there early on. But let's see how Matt Patricia plays this thing. As first time DC at the college ranks. And then finally for me, as well as Julian saying, putting him in good opportunities. Because I think Brian Hartline, the new OC, is going to be calling plays. I don't think Ryan Day is going back to it. And they've passed on Brian Hartline before. So I don't know how confident they are in him, but you got all these weapons, you got these talents. So I'm interested too of how Brian Hartline kind of calls his game as an OC, because he's somebody that they went out and got Chip Kelly for. And obviously Chip is now with the Raiders. So I'm interested to see how he kind of does what Julian's saying, how they kind of call the game as well here. But those are kind of my three keys for the Buckeyes to get the win.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see what happens there. But getting into the game, I think this is going to be really close and really competitive. But I'm going to go with the home team here because Sark has never proven to win a big game until I see it from Sarkisian. Because last year lost in the college football, he lost in the semifinal, and then he lost in the big SEC championship game, and he lost to Georgia at home last year too. So Sark has trouble against Georgia, and he has trouble in big games. So I got to believe it until I see it with him. And I think in this game, I think that Sayin will play okay. I think Sayin will be decent. I think Arch Manning will be decent, but I think Sayin will be the quarterback that makes less mistakes. I think Arch Manning's going to throw a pick or two. I think that's going to be the difference. I think it's going to come right down to the end. And I think Ohio State's going to win with like a game-winning field goal. I think it's going to come right down to the end. I got Ohio State winning this one. I got Ohio State winning this at home in the Horseshoe, the defending national champs. I got them beating Texas 23-20. But Justin, can Sarkisian and Texas get revenge on what happened last year against Ohio State?
No, I'm with you too here. Pretty close score as you, but I got Buckeyes 24-20. I'm going to take Ryan Day to get it done. He kind of showed you last year that resiliency after the Michigan loss, the way they handled everybody in the playoffs last year. Texas gave them probably their best game. And again, they were going down to tie that game, and the fumble in the end zone or fumble in the goal, around the goal line there, and Ohio State takes it back and they win by 2 scores. That game was closer than what the final score indicated. So I think Texas is close, but I'm going to take Ohio State here at home. And I meant, you mentioned it too with Steve Sarkisian. Yeah, he hasn't really won the big one. He's done a great job of getting Texas back in the title contender, but they haven't taken that next step. So I'm going with the Buckeyes here as well.
Yeah, I'm going to Ohio State. I hate to say it as a Penn State fan, but I'm going to Ohio State to win this Saturday.
Helps the conference.
It does help the conference. I'll give you that. It does help the conference.
It
does help the conference with the Big Ten beating the SEC. So great game to pretty much open the college football season. So it should be really exciting between these two teams. But we both got Ohio State winning on Saturday in the Horseshoe. But moving on, we got 3 top 10 matchups this weekend. Moving on to another one Saturday night, we got LSU heading to Clemson. LSU has been terrible in opening games since Brian Kelly has became the head coach. Lost it in 2022 to Florida State. This game's in Clemson, right? It's at Death Valley.
Death Valley. Yeah, the Valley.
Saturday night, Death Valley. That's going to be a great atmosphere too.
They're going to show them getting on the bus, going down. Down the hill, so
exactly. Yeah. So it'll be a great atmosphere in Death Valley between these two teams. You got 2 really good quarterbacks. You got Garrett Nussmeier, you got Cade Klubnik going at it. So 2 top quarterbacks. Could be 2 of the top quarterbacks in the draft next year going at it. Or outside of maybe Arch Manning. Then it could be outside of Arch Manning, probably 2 of the top 3 quarterbacks, going at it at Clemson. So it should be a really, really interesting game between the two teams. I think both quarterbacks are going to play well, but I think the difference in this game is going to be, number one, the coaching. I'll take Dabo Swinney over Brian Kelly any day of the week. And I think Clemson's pass rush is going to force Nussmeier to make mistakes. I think Cade Klubnik is going to outplay Garrett Nussmeier. I think Clemson's pass rush of T.J. Parker and Woods is going to force Gus Meyer to make a mistake or two. I think it's going to be close. It's going to be competitive. It's going to come down to the end, but I'm taking the home team here. I'm going Clemson 27-20 over LSU. But Justin, can Brian Kelly finally win an opening day game? Can Brian Kelly lead the Tigers to lead LSU to the upset and finally win an opening day game? Opening night.
No, I got Clemson Tigers as well here, 31-24. You mentioned Brian Kelly, the struggles here. He's been putting paw prints around the LSU football facilities to try to fire him up for this game. I think you'd rather have your team ready to go for the whole season, not just this week one opener. And LSU's lost 5 straight, 2 openers, because you go back before Brian Kelly, they lost to UCLA, which they got upset. They should have won that game or going into it. And then they lost that Mississippi State game in 2020, where their defense they lost 44-34, I believe it was. So LSU struggled these season openers. Part of me is really, really high on Clemson this year with everything they got coming back. I feel like this is a vintage Clemson defense. My worry with them is they didn't play well last year against their high-level competition teams. That's my one worry. But LSU too going this one, 4 of their 5 offensive linemen were in the Senior Bowl last year. Obviously, Will Campbell goes number 3 overall in the draft. Like, there's a lot of new additions to that offensive line. And Clemson's pass rush, I think, is going to give them some issues. And Garrett Nussmeier, about 2-3 weeks ago, at first, it sounded like it was going to be much worse of a knee injury. It's not as bad as they thought, but maybe there's a lingering issue there. He's been banged up a little bit in his career. So Clemson gets after him early and often. It could be some struggle there for him. I think LSU's even to be a bit better this year, but I still have to see it first. And then, and I think it comes down to who can run the football better. LSU really wasn't great at it last year. Clemson running back spot, they got it going a little bit towards the end, but still wasn't the vintage Clemson's team. And they're going with a true freshman, Gideon Davidson, a number 5-star running back, and then they switched Adam Randall from linebacker to running back. I think he's going to be more of a gadget running back than an actual. They're going to use him in running situations, but I got Clemson winning this one 34-24. I think Clemson's a little bit better. I feel a little bit better about them heading this one than I do LSU.
Yeah, I think in the running game you talk about the running game. Running game's going to be key. Running game's going to be key to which quarterback. If one quarterback got to be one-dimensional, especially I think it's more key for LSU because I think that Clemson has the better defense. So if they got to be if Gus Nussmeier's got to be one-dimensional against this pass rush, I think it's going to be trouble. So you made a really, really good point with the run game there. And then you brought up LSU. Really, I think ever since opening day in 2020, they've lost every single game. And they lost the first game in 2019. And they lost the first game in 2018 too. I remember I think they lost to Miami the first game in 2018 with Joe Burrow. Yeah. No, they won that one. My bad.
They won a few, but still, it's been 6 years, which is insane.
6 years they won an opening day game. So crazy. But yeah, I think it's Clemson here. I just think the coaching and the defense, I think the quarterback making less mistakes. I think that's the difference for Clemson.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I do. Yeah. There's more question marks. I think in college football, you go into it like what in these games, like what team has the less amount of question marks, and Clemson I think does, and especially them playing at home, you kind of give them the advantage there. So yeah, and hey, credit to LSU and Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly never schedules a cupcake week 1.
He doesn't. He doesn't.
Give him credit for that.
Yeah, he might lose all of them, but at least he schedules.
Yeah, he does. I know the fan base isn't happy when he loses these, and the world, turns to darkness down there in LSU. But yeah, he's not afraid to schedule these ones. I forget who they have next year. He's got another one lined up for next year. But hopefully he's got to win this year to make sure he's still coaching LSU next year.
Yeah, give him credit for that. Yeah, he does not schedule cupcakes. Definitely give Brian Kelly credit for that. Now moving on to the last top 10 matchups Sunday night, we got Notre Dame, who played in the national title game last year, against Miami, who just missed the college football playoffs. They lost Cam Ward, but Carson Beck is coming back. And I'm going to go with an upset here. I think Miami's defense, being at home, I think they contain Jeremiah Love. It's C.J. Carr's first start, so I think he makes a mistake or two. I think this game comes down to the wire, but I think Carson Beck wins it. I'm going to go with an upset. I think it'll be a little bit of a hangover with Notre Dame losing that national championship game as well. So I am going to go with Miami here. I'm going to go with the upset. I got Miami winning 24-21 over Notre Dame. But Justin, can Notre Dame pick up where they left off last year, winning 12 straight games and get to the national title game?
I do have the Irish in this one, 27-17. Miami lost their 6 top wide receivers from a year ago. Carson Beck's coming off Tommy John surgery, which we don't really know how that affects a quarterback. We obviously see it a ton in baseball, but not a ton here. I think Miami's going to be a lot better on the defensively, and I think up front too. That's where Cristobal kind of thrives. And CJ Carr, I thought clearly was going to be the number one going in, but did not seem like he had a great camp. And Kenny Minchie gave him a run, so I think CJ Carr has a higher upside here in this one. But I'm going to take Notre Dame's defense, which I think is going to be pretty good again. I'm going to take their offensive line. And Price and Love, I think, two are the best backs in the country. They're probably right there with Penn State's duo. So I'm going to take Notre Dame. It's going to, again, come down to what quarterback makes the less mistakes. Yeah, I know Carr's going to his first start here, but there's just something about it. And, there's going to be a lot of Notre Dame fans down there. I know the other day, Miami still has some tickets available. I don't know if it's sold out yet, but if Miami can't sell out this game, I don't know if they ever will.
Yeah, I mean, they're a top 10. They're a top 10 team.
Yeah.
How did they not sell it out? And how is it not more of their fans than Notre Dame fans?
I don't know. I know there's a lot of Notre Dame fans going down there. Miami fans,
Really? Wow.
You would think, because usually the Miami fans are bandwagons. They'll show up when they're good. So it is surprising the other day. It was not sold out yet. So we'll see if it is. I have to imagine it will be by Sunday night. But, we'll see too with the weather. I was just down there a month ago. It's still 100 degrees and humidity is still high at 7:30 at night. So we'll see. Maybe that could have helped Miami too in that game.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening there. But moving on to the other game on Sundays, that's in Atlanta. That's Chick-fil-A, right? Chick-fil-A Classic in Atlanta. Yep. We got Virginia Tech and South Carolina, and I think South Carolina wins this by 2 scores because of Lenore Sellers. Lenore Sellers is he's supposed to be one of the best quarterbacks in the not only in the SEC but in the country. I think he plays really well in this game, and Virginia Tech lost their run. They don't have their running back anymore. So I think Lenore Sellers is the difference, and that's why I think South Carolina wins this by 2 scores. But can Frank Beamer's what's his son's name? Shane Beamer's dad's old team beat his team?
I don't think so. I got the Gamecocks 31-20 here. Lenore Sellers. I listened to an interview with him a couple of weeks ago. Very, very impressed. It was him breaking down pre-snap stuff. It was like a minute and a half. He went into depth of everything, and was very impressed by everything he had to say there. And Nick Harbor, the projected number 1 wide receiver. Who else after that is a kind of question mark, and they need to step up. Virginia Tech had a ton back last year, and I had high hopes for that team. I like Keon Drones. I like the new OC they're bringing in, Philip Montgomery, but I think Brent Pry is on the hot seat. I don't think he's going to make it out after this year. I think South Carolina's a ton, and they lost 5 guys in the NFL draft, and they never do that. So, I know they're ranked in the top 15. I'm a little skeptical, but I do think they get out of this one because I just think they're a better team than Virginia Tech. I don't think Virginia Tech's well coached either. So I like Shane Beamer. They're usually pretty buttoned up to the Gamecocks, and I think they get this one done in Atlanta.
All righty. We got Bill Belichick's home opener on Monday night against TCU. Got Bill Belichick coming in his home opener against TCU. But for me, I think Josh Hoover is going to steal the show for TCU, and I think they're going to win the game. They're favored. I think they win the game. I got them winning it 28-24 against North Carolina. But Justin, can Bill Belichick win his first game as UNC head coach?
No, I'm with you here. I don't think so either. I got the Horned Frogs 34-27. I don't know what to expect out of UNC because they didn't have during spring practice. Bill didn't have any. They had nobody had numbers on their jerseys. There's no real film. Bill was very tight about that. So I don't know what offense they're going to be running. I don't know what they're going to be running for a defense. Sonny Dykes had his issues in season openers. I really like Josh Hoover. I think he's one of the better quarterbacks of the Big 12. North Carolina, too. I think it's 50 transfers they brought in. That includes their starting quarterback, Gio Lopez, who came in the spring or after spring practice, which you never see that really happen. He was a good quarterback in South Alabama, but he was not like a all-team Sunbelt guy. I don't know how, and he's a smaller guy. I don't know how he's going to translate. And their OC is Freddie Kitchens too, so I don't love that. I'm not a Freddie Kitchens fan, but I think we're going to see North Carolina secondary be in a big test early. And I think TCU knocks them off here 34-27.
All righty. But here's the bigger thing with North Carolina. What's their season going to be like? Bill Belichick getting back into coaching. What's their season going to be like this year? What do you expect from North Carolina?
So their schedule's pretty manageable. But with all these new guys, it's tough to kind of tell. I think they're like a 6-6, 7-5 team. Like they get the bye before Clemson. Like even that game at UCF's gonna be. I don't think UCF's gonna be very good, but you are going down there, especially if it's Saturday night. It's gonna be a tough environment. But like the rest of the ACC schedule, Duke's gonna be pretty good, but like Cal's gonna be one of the worst Power Five teams. Ron Rivera's trying to get that head coaching job. He's a GM right now. He's trying very hard. Virginia's not going to be very good. I don't think. Stanford, you saw them on Saturday night against Hawaii. Wake Forest is in a rebuild. So like would it shock me if they can knock off Clemson if they go 6-2 in the ACC? But I think they're like a 7-5, 6-6-ish football team. There's just so many unknowns, and there's so many new guys in North Carolina team. And how does Bill, how's Bill as a college coach? We'll see. I just think there's so much turnover, but their schedule is very manageable, which is going to help them out. So I think 6-6, 7-5, which I don't know how excited the fan base will be. I think they take 7-5. I think the fan base would 7-5, 8-4. If they could do that, I think the fan base would be very, very happy.
I think like 8-4, 9. I think 8-4. I think 7-8 wins.
You're very high. So. You're higher.
I'm high.
You're higher than me.
Honestly, I think the schedule is manageable. And let's be honest, I think Bill will be schematic. We'll see how he connects to the players, but schematically, I think he'll be fine. Let's be honest. The reason he got fired from the Patriots was because he did a terrible job draft. His drafts, the last last 5-6 drafts were absolutely terrible. He had some terrible drafts. He was not a good. Really, the last 5-6 years, he was not a good GM. He was not a good GM. But as a head coach, I no. Was he as good as McVay or Andy Reid at the end? No. Or Tomlin or John Harbaugh at the end? No. But I still think he was a pretty good head coach. Seeing the way that defense of the Patriots slipped from 2023 to 2024, seeing the way that defense slipped, so I think he's still got a really, really good defensive mind. I still think I don't think he's completely lost his fastball. So I think 7-8 wins. I think 7-8 wins for North Carolina.
Yeah, I could see it. Especially too, we see he can confuse a lot of NFL quarterbacks. Now you're going up against a bunch of quarterbacks too that could be 18, 19 years old. Now you may have to go up against Bill Belichick. So I could see it. I really could. Going 7-5, 8-4. I haven't think he lost fastball either. Just with 50 new guys, you just don't know. And it's my holdback here. I don't know if you heard Bill's state. He had a meeting a couple of days ago, and somebody asked him, what's the difference between NFL and college coaching? And the first thing he brought up was no owner and no owner's son. So
that's shot. Cool. Him and Kraft. That relationship is in a very, very, very bad place right now. A very bad place between the two. Let me tell you something. Yeah. It's going to be a long time until he gets a statue right near Tom Brady at Gillette Stadium. Seeing the relationship between Bill and the Krafts, it is awful. Yeah. It is in a real. I don't say. I some people say bad because they had so much success for 20 years, but it's in a really bad place because of what happened at the end in New England.
Yeah, it is bad. It's bad. It's unfortunate too because I think he should be honored better than he has been, but we know why he hasn't been. Yeah, Brady might have to play mediator. I feel
like he is the mediator now because I think his relationship with Belichick has improved, and it's always been great with Kraft. Yeah. But his relationship with Belichick, I feel like has improved since he's left New England.
Yeah, he might have to get those two in a room at some point to hash things out at some point. I agree. He needs a statue next to Tom Brady. I think that's only right, but that's not coming anytime soon, unfortunately.
No, it will not be coming anytime soon. We'll see what he does at North Carolina this year. Moving on to some games on Saturday afternoon. We got Syracuse heading to Tennessee. Joey Aguilar?
That's in Atlanta. Aguilar, yeah. This game is also in Atlanta.
Okay, that one's in Atlanta. Okay, Syracuse and I think in this game, I think Joey Aguilar plays well. And I think it's kind of similar to the South Carolina game against Virginia Tech. I think the SEC beats the ACC here. I got 30-17 Cuse over Tennessee. Justin, who do you got here?
I got the Vols as well, 30-13. New team for Syracuse. They come off 10 wins, but they lost a ton. They lost their top wide receivers. Kyle McCord had an unbelievable year. He's gone. The leading tackle, Justin Barron's gone. On the defense side of the ball, Fran Brown gets his team to buy in. And I think they will be very bought into this. I just don't know how good they're going to be this year. I think they got some guys on the line that from power conference schools, but didn't play a ton. So I think they're question marks. And I think Tennessee's defense to be very, very good. Tennessee's offense too is a lot of question marks, a lot of new pieces, and a lot of the weapon spots. So I don't know what to totally expect again from either team. But I trust the Tennessee defense. I think they'll be very, very good. And Tennessee's O-line too is a major question mark. So if they can't protect Syracuse pass rush, I think Tennessee's gonna be in for a long year. But I think Aguilar's a decent quarterback, but again, transferred in the spring. So how much, it's a veer and shoot. It's could be tougher offense to learn. So I got the Vols. So I think they kind of do roll because of their defense in this one.
All righty, we got another SEC versus ACC matchup as Alabama heads to Tallahassee to face Florida State. And in this game, I think that Dylan Sampson has a good game. I think Alabama's defense plays really well. I think they hold Florida State to 10 points. And I think Alabama's offense, maybe a little bit of a slow start, but they play well as well. And I got Bama here 27-10 over Florida State. But can Mike Norvell, who probably should have been fired last year, can he engineer a humongous upset over Alabama?
Yeah, I don't think that's happening. I think the Bama rolls in this one as well. I got them 31-14. Thomas Castellano, the Florida State quarterback who got benched at the end of last year, I think it was June or July, said Alabama's not the same program since Nick Saban left, and that did not sit well with a lot of.
I bet it did.
Yeah.
I bet it did.
Yeah.
That's bulletin board material right there.
Yeah, coming off a 2-10 year, I can't imagine Mike Norvell is very happy. So I think Alabama defense is going to try to make his day a nightmare, and I think they will. I think Florida State's going to be better than 2-10. But the problem with Florida State last year is just what happens when you live in the transfer portal.
Yep.
Those guys don't hit. That's going to happen. And last year it did. I think they're going to be better, but I don't think they'll be that much. I think they're like a 6-7 win team. I think, even though Jay Miller, Bama run back's not going to play, I think Sampson's going to have a pretty good game on the ground. I think Ty Sitchens plays pretty well, and I think Florida State maybe keeps it in closer half, but I think Alabama rolls in the second.
Yeah, I think Alabama wins this by 2 or 3 scores. Now we got tomorrow night's game. We'll start with number 25 Boise State heading to USF, and I think this is without Genty. It's a close, competitive game, but I'm going to take the better team here and the quarterback that's returning, and that's Boise State's quarterback, Madsen. I'm trying to remember from last year.
Maxick Madsen.
Tough name to say. Yeah, tough name to say, but I got Boise State here 23-17. Justin, who you got?
I got Boise in this one 38-31. I think this game's got some playoff implications.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think Stanford's got a chance because Memphis is a favorite, but I don't think their quarterback Brandon Lewis. San Antonio UTSA is going to be pretty good. Tulane's got a really tough schedule, so I think South Florida's got a chance to win the American. But I think Boise State. I think Magic Madsen. I think he plays well in this one. Byron Brown could be the best quarterback in the American Conference. They got 14 guys back. The defense should be better. I like their DC, Todd Orlando, the former Edsel DC, the first time around at UConn that had a lot of those really good defenses. So I think, and then got to watch out for a wide receiver for Boise. Chris Marshall, former 5-star, didn't work out at A&M, didn't work out at Ole Miss, went to JUCO as well. He's turning a lot of heads during camp. Expect him to be like the next big skill guy out of Boise State. I think he's going to have a monster of a year. I really like this Boise team going in. I think they got a lot back, and they got one more. I think they were the only favorite too in the Mountain West this year. Final year as well for they moved to the Pac-12. They're the newly formed Pac-12. So it's going to be hot. I wonder how Boise handles it. There's always rain down there in Tampa that time of year, especially at 5:30. But I got so we'll see how Boise does in heat. But I got them going on the road winning this game. Should be a shootout.
All right, we got year 2 of Dylan Raiola and the Matt Rule, or is it year 3 of Matt Rule? No, year 3 of Matt Rule.
Year 3. Yeah.
But year 2 of Dylan Raiola, and they head to Cincinnati tomorrow night. And
this is Arrowhead. Actually,
Arrowhead. Oh wow, Arrowhead.
Yeah.
Oh, Arrowhead Stadium. So Nebraska and Cincinnati at Arrowhead, and I think Dylan Raiola is going to be too much. And I got Nebraska winning this one 31-24. But can the what do you got here? Do you think the Bearcats pull the upset?
I think the Bearcats could. But I do have Nebraska win this one 28-20. Yeah, Matt Rule, usually this is a big year for him. Dana Holgerson, I thought it came in around November last year to be the OC, and I thought the offense got, so I think that helps him, Raul, that he's got already some familiarity with Dana Holgerson. They've had the full offseason. There were some up and downs with Raul, but that's going to happen to the freshman quarterback. And I think, the pass protection broke down a lot last year, and Cincinnati's got one of the better D tackles in Dante Carleona, and maybe he could wreck that game and give Nebraska problems. But I do think Nebraska gets out of this thing 20-20 because I think it's going to be pretty much a Nebraska home game.
With it being in Kansas City, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I'm not a big Scott Satterfield head coach. I'm not a big fan of him. So I'm going to go with the Cornhuskers to get off on the right foot here, and big year for Matt Rule in year 3.
Yeah, I could see a big year for Matt Rule there. Now we'll wrap up talking about Georgia Tech and Colorado. Deion Sanders is back, but without Travis Hunter and his son Shedeur Sanders. And in this game, I think I'm going to take the team with more experience. I'm going to go Georgia Tech here. They're a 4.5-point favorite. I'm going to take them here 27-20 because they got the experienced quarterback in Haynes King. Now, let's not forget Georgia Tech beat Miami last year, and they almost knocked off Georgia in the they almost knocked off Georgia too last year. So let's look in that game in Athens. So I think it's going to be Georgia Tech. I think Haynes King has a good game, and I think they beat Deion Sanders 27-20. But can Deion Sanders win without Shedeur and Travis Hunter? Can he win his opener without those two guys?
No, I got the Yellow Jackets here in this one. I got them 28-21. Look, I'm glad Deion's doing better. I know battling cancer, so great to hear he's cancer free now. But not a lot of hype around this Colorado team, and that's for good reason. Caden Salter, the Liberty transfer coming in, got the job. He's coming off a down year at Liberty. If you know Liberty's, at College USA, they're going to win that thing every year with just how much more money they have than anybody else in that conference. But he's a good dual threat guy. And, I think Colorado, you lose Hunter, you lose Sanders. And I think Georgia Tech with Haynes King coming back, if he can stay healthy, I think just Georgia Tech's team is a dark horse to win the ACC. But thing is, I don't know how great Georgia Tech's defense is going to be. And I don't know how good Colorado's offense is going to be this year. So there's a lot of question marks for me too going this one, but that's a lot of week one with all the turnover in college football nowadays. You just never really know. But I got the Yellow Jackets here 28-21. I guess maybe altitude gets to Georgia Tech in the second half, but because I don't know the last time they've been in altitude. They usually say really regional, so maybe that's a factor Colorado can kind of take advantage late in the game.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening with Colorado as they open their season with Georgia Tech. But to wrap up the show, we got to do our weekly check-in on the Yankees and the Red Sox. And listen, I know the Yankees are up right now 10-0 on the Nationals, but This weekend they scored 9 runs in the third inning.
Pathetic.
What did you say?
The pathetic weekend.
Yeah, the absolutely pathetic. The poor weekend against the Red Sox. They lost 3 out of 4 to the Red Sox, and right now their record against the Red Sox, Blue Jays, Tigers, and Astros is 7-19. 7-19. That's terrible. That's terrible. They have not won a series this year. Only one series they've won against those 3 teams. That was the Blue Jays, and that was in the first week of April. That was in the first week of April. No, last week of April. That was they won that series against the Blue Jays. Listen, I know they're beating up on the Nationals. I know they got the White Sox this week. I know they've won 10 out of 14. But the question is right now, do you have faith in this team to make a deep playoff run? And I'm going to say no. I know how you're going to answer it, and I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no because of their record against the teams that are better than them this year. This weekend proved it. This weekend proved that this team might make the playoffs, but they're not going to go far in the playoffs because they got flaws everywhere. They got flaws obviously in the rotation. They obviously got flaws in the bullpen. Even though they fixed it, they've had flaws there. And they got let's be honest, against good pitching, they struggled. They only scored 1 run. They struck out 11 times against Garrett Crochet and got shut out to Brian Bello last weekend. So against good pitching, they struggled too. I know they're scoring runs now against the Nationals. They scored runs in that last game against the Red Sox, but there are flaws to this team. And right now, I see them making the playoffs, but I don't see them. I don't see them making a run. Maybe they win in the wild card round, but I can't see them beating. Getting to the back to the World Series and beating the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, and the Astros because they've been. And the Tigers, because they've been so bad against those teams this year.
Yeah, I'm out on them until I am all out. I'm done with buying this team as being a contender, and that even goes for the next couple years. If they don't fix their mental mistake or the fundamentals, because again, Thursday night, one of the biggest games of the year. Yeah. You have 4 errors and a balk. Yeah. And then you come out Friday night in just a worthless, pathetic effort and lose 1-0. And then you get embarrassed again 12-1 on Saturday. And then I also can't buy them until this organization stops coddling Anthony Volpe. How is Jose Caballero not your starting shortstop right now? I don't get it.
That's
How
terrible.
do you not?
Yeah.
I can't take them seriously. I'm totally done with this. And look, yeah, maybe they get to the wild card round. They're going to get swept by Boston. This team's not going to Fenway and knocking them off. They're not winning a game. I don't have any faith. This is I'm done in believing this baseball team. I'm done. I don't. It was nice that Max Fried looked better, but I can't buy this team seriously anymore. I just can't. You know, they just every time they play a good team, they just embarrass themselves. You know, that was shameful this weekend. I don't even care if they won Sunday night. I wanted to lose 15-0 because if they lost 15-0, then if they do nothing, that just shows me they don't care. They don't care. I just can't. I can't buy into this. I can't buy into this team anymore. I can't buy in next year if they just run if Anthony Volpe are showing shortstop. You can even get to the point Austin Wells should probably be benched at catcher. You know, he's batting 207 right now. I can't buy this team seriously until they put their best sign out there, and they don't do that because for whatever reason, Anthony Volpe is so protected, and it only makes things worse for him because the fan base bashes him when he makes a mistake because it's like he clearly is not a starting shortstop in this sport right now. But for whatever reason, they keep running him out there, and they're up 10-0. I just looked; he still doesn't have a hit.
Yeah,
Wells doesn't have a hit.
Yeah. And I've been a Volpe defender, but I get your point. And I get your point about this team. Now, for me, they got a big 4-game stretch starting on Tuesday. Go to Houston for 3, host Toronto for 3, host the Tigers for 3, and then play the Red Sox for 3. That 12-game stretch. For me, they got to go 7-5 for me to be back on and saying they're a contender. Right now, I don't think they are a contender to get to the World. I think they're going to make, as I said, I think they're going to make the playoffs, but I don't think they're a contender to get to the World Series right now because of how pathetic they've been against the 4 teams that are ahead of them in the standings. They've been so bad. The only team, pretty good team they've played well against this year is Seattle, but that was before they got Josh Naylor and Eugenio Suarez. So, I'm not. I might get back on the train. I know you're not getting back on. I don't care if they're even dominant in the next week. You're not getting back. Even if they go like 9-3 against like in that 12-game stretch against Toronto, Boston, Detroit, and Houston, you're not getting back on. The way I get back on is if they have a winning record against those 4 teams, because that would give me some confidence going into the postseason that things are going in the right direction. If it's the same old against those 4 teams, and we're sitting here 2 weeks ago, and it's the same old against those 4 teams, I'm with you. I am not buying them as being a contender.
Yeah, because you can't. 7-5, they somehow do that. That wouldn't even get me back on it. They have to go like 11-1. They have to go 11-1.
11-1.
That's the only way.
Wow.
Yeah, the only way they get me back on. And again, I even mentioned it. Like Boone again, he's a disaster in the dugout. I'd rather have his clown in there than him. I don't trust him in big spots. He outmanages himself.
Yeah, you're not a fan of Boone at all. I think, but no matter what happens this year, I think he's getting one more year after this year, just because they made the World Series this year.
It's unfortunate. Yeah, it's unfortunate because I know you probably will disagree with me on this. I'd probably take 20 other managers than him in the sport.
Wow, that's a lot. I'd probably go maybe.
He's managing the Yankees.
Maybe I'd say maybe 10, 15 at most.
He's managing the Yankees. He's got a $300 million payroll. Like poor Derek Shelton. Like I think he's a decent manager, but like he's in Pittsburgh where they don't care. I take Derek Shelton. I know that would the Yankee fans would hate that, but I take 20 other managers in the sport than Aaron Boone. I just think he's I can't stand him.
Wow.
I just think
he did get to a World Series. He got to a couple ALCSs.
Teams that
I get it.
But
I get it.
Cleveland and KC. I get it. You got again. It's just the Nestor Cortez thing, and then it's the Davey Garcia, Jay Happ pitching situation in 2020. There's nothing that, and then he just has no gut feeling, and Alex Cora just wiped the floor with him yet again. For the millionth time, it feels like. So he doesn't get this team up for big games. He just doesn't, and he sits back. And again, according to him, a lot of time left to be better against 500.
You got one stretch. You got one stretch. That's it. Not a lot of time. You got one stretch, and if you don't get it, then the fan base is not going to have faith in you, and this team can make a run.
No. So again, the only way the thing changes in his organization if there's 20,000 people in that ballpark in any given weekend, which is never going to happen. Yeah. But that's the only way Hal Steinbrenner wakes up and is like, okay, we need to change. But
Yeah.
they're gonna sell it out. They're gonna have 40,000 like they usually do, and as long as they make their money, fine. But just that. They're just not a World Series contender. They're just not, and they won't be.
As of right now, I agree. I might change my tune in the middle of September, but as of now, I do agree with you. But now, speaking of a team that probably is a World Series contender, and Alex Cora, who's done a great job this year, and I thought a team that was done after they traded Rafael Devers, but Cora's done a great job this year. That's the Boston Red Sox, and right now they're a good spot. You got the first wild card spot, so they'll be hosting either the Yankees or the Mariners. They potentially could still win the division. They're only 4 out, and they got 3 with Toronto at the end of September. So they're I think the Red Sox are in a good spot, and I really like their pitching. This is the best their starting pitching has been in a long time. With Crochet, who was awesome on Saturday, Bello, who was great on Friday, and Giolito last night, who was awesome. Yeah, it was awesome. He was awesome. Bullpen is still really good. My only concern with this team is, and I'll keep saying it, the platooning. It's way too much platooning with this team. You can't name the starting 9 if you're not a Red Sox fan because they mix and match platoon all the time, and it works in the regular season. But I don't know if that's going to work. Say they get to the ALCS or even the World Series, if that's going to end up working for them. But Craig Breslow's done a great job, and Alex Cora's done a great job putting this team in the position they've been in, because this is definitely the best Red Sox team since 2021.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, they wiped the floor with the Yankees yet again this weekend. They're now 8-2 against them. And yeah, their pitching staff has come along. Bellows looked a lot better. Like Giolito, there's probably a time this year where they were probably looking to maybe move him the bullpen, and he's been phenomenal of late. Dustin May right now is the one guy that's kind of your question mark. I know they just moved Walker Buehler to the bullpen as well. He hadn't pitched great, but when's the last time like Chapman's given up a run? I'm actually going through it now.
Great, yeah, he's been
the 23rd against Philly.
Yeah, that's
over a month ago.
Oh wow, that's great.
But then after that was May 27th Milwaukee. So then he's been unbelievable. I think the best Chapman's looked in his career this year.
I don't know. There were some good years with the Yankees. There were some really good years.
There was, but I don't think he was in late August with
as dominant.
ERA.
Yeah, he wasn't. You're right. He wasn't as dominant as he was this year. Yeah, that's definitely been a surprise for the Red Sox, because I knew Crochet was going to work. I knew Bregman was going to work, but Chapman, he's worked better than I think anyone has thought. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You thought Boston was trying to pick him up and just use him as a trade chip in July, but that hasn't been the case. And so he's been unbelievable. So. Yeah, the pitching's been great, and a lot of credit to Andrew Bailey. I was kind of a little expected, going into it, wasn't sure what to expect from him, but I think he's done a really good job here. So, the platooning, but Josh Lowe's been a great addition to him. Like, I get what you're saying about platooning, but Cora's so good at knowing when to pitch hit guys and all that. Again, he showed it this weekend against Aaron Boone. So I just. I think it's a plus for Alex Cora to have 4 guys that you can trust off the bench every night to go to. And he can kind of, mix and match with this guy. So, yeah, I get it that it's tough, the platooning every night, and it may not work in the playoffs, but, Cora's really good at knowing the spots for it, though.
Yeah, and listen, Craig Breslow has put this team, and give him credit, this is why they got rid of Chaim Bloom. Chaim Bloom did nothing to improve the team. He just was just trusting the prospects.
A lot of guys are killing it now, though. I
get it. But Breslow has now put this team in a position to get to the playoffs because of what he did in the offseason. Crochet was a great move. Chapman and Giolito, those were really good moves to put this team in position to get to the postseason for the first time in 4 years. I mean, this was a team that missed the playoffs 5 times in a 6-year stretch. Now they're going to be in the playoffs, and all the credit's got to go to Craig Breslow. And now with this roster, Cora's been able to show how good he is. Because I think people forgot how good Alex Cora was because they missed the playoffs so many times. It wasn't that, and I was critical of him in the middle of the season this year too, because I thought they were underachieving a little bit when Devers was there. But Breslow made the move. It was addition by subtraction to get rid of him, and now, really, I think people forgot how good Cora is. I think they're now remembering how good of a manager Alex Cora is.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, because I know there's Red Sox fans that aren't big Cora fans, and I used to tell them like, hey, I'll switch Aaron Boone for Alex Cora any day of the week. I'd take Alex Cora in a heartbeat. So I do think a lot of people have forgotten what Alex Cora's what he's been able to do as a manager. I think he's been really, really good. And he's done a really good job with this young roster and keeping them going. And even during the bad stretches, it hasn't gotten out away from them. And hey, they were going to that Yankees series, lost 8 of 12, and they just got swept by Baltimore at home. And they had a great weekend, and now they've won the first two in Baltimore. And try to finish off today before you got a bad Pittsburgh Pirate team coming into town this weekend. So things are looking good for Boston, and they're Alex Gordon's done a really good job with this young roster, and the future's really bright in Boston right now. I think it's brighter there than it is in New York right now.
Definitely, I agree with you. It definitely is. It definitely is. Unfortunately, with firing High and Bloom, which I think was the best decision that organization made, and Breslow bringing in players, bringing in guys like Crochet and Bregman, I think the future is really, really good in Boston with their young talent. I think the future is good in Boston. It's been a while since we've been able to say that, but I think it is really, really good in Boston right now. But that's going to wrap it up this week on Sports Talk with R&J. For Justin Alfrio, I'm Steve Risser. We will be back next week talking about week 1, the first week of the NFL season, week 2 of the college football season, and the Yankees and Red Sox. Have a great Labor Day weekend, everyone.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Sticky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.